Here on Indie Style, we'll feature successful entrepreneurs from across the globe who are making incredible strides in their industry. You may not know their names yet, but you soon will. I'm Leah DeVon, and this is Indie Style. Hello and welcome to Indie Style. I am your host, Leah DeVon. Well, I am really excited, and I know I say that before every single show, but this is a really, really special show for me today because I get to bring on my producer, my supervising producer. You guys hear me talk about her all the time. I'm always like, okay, Myki, do this, Myki, da, 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 da. And FYI, she did not want to come on and do this today. So I'm feeling loved that I was able to bribe her into doing that. So I'm going to bring her on in just a second. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, Indie Style TV and tell you guys what we have coming up on our new season. So everybody, please welcome to the show my awesome producer, Myki Bobo.
Hi.
Hi, Myki.
How are you?
I am really good. How are you?
Well, I was better until you made me come on camera.
Well, listen, I'm really excited because, I wanted to kind of really do an introduction show. We've just never done this before, Myki.
I know that. There's a reason why we've never done this before.
But no, seriously, I just want to kind of let everybody know, how you and I came together, why we do this show and kind of what people can look forward to. So, okay, how did Myki and I even come together? I tell you, Myki's been in television forever. She's a 2-time Emmy nominated producer. What? And some of you might know this and some of you may not, but she's actually my cousin. She's my cousin, right? And what people might not know is we didn't grow up together. We knew of each other, but we didn't, do you know what I mean? We didn't know, we weren't like we are now because I love you dearly. And I reached out to her just out of the blue one day when she was in New York. She was working for Oxygen at the time. And I was like, hey, it's Leah and I'm doing this show and I need your help. Okay. And I remember when I called you and you were very polite. You were like, hi. And I remember I was trying to explain myself and explain what I needed from you. And you were just like, okay, send me, what'd you say? Send me the show, or what did you say? Do you remember?
I think when you called, because I think I was actually at work.
You were.
Sitting at my desk at Oxygen. And Angie called me first and she was like, hey, Leah wants to call you. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't think we had seen each other since one of the family reunion we did in Florida. And so it was a couple years after that, and you called and I was like, sure. Well, I don't really do that, but I can try. Because at the time I was just doing screenwriting and I was doing films. So yeah, I hadn't done an actual talk show, TV show, but I worked at Oxygen, so I looked at them all the time. We had a lot of reality TV. So, yeah, you called and I was like, okay, let me see the show. I don't know what. Oh, and then I met Scott.
Yeah.
I met Scott. Yeah, because Scott was recording the show then.
And I think what people, when people say, what is Indie Style about? Why did you do Indie Style? I was an independent recording artist. Some people may know that. And just as an indie artist, I did really well for myself. And I was just really proud that I didn't have to have a big label. And I remember doing Good Day Atlanta because they were just so nice to me because our guest coordinator, Warren McIntosh, knew Mark Hayes at the time. And anytime I needed to promote something, they'd be like, okay. And I just remember people were like, you should do TV. And I was like, well, I don't do TV. I don't know what it is. But hence, Indie Style came into fruition as a show to introduce successful entrepreneurs across the globe who were just really entrepreneurs who were making, a splash in their industry. And our thing is, we always say, Myki, people may not know your name yet, but they soon will. And so that was kind of our premise behind it. I remember pitching it to you because I was nervous. I was like, what if she doesn't like it? And this is family, but she's like legit. But I was just really grateful that you jumped on board because, like, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. So,
well, I think what's funny enough is years later, I was working at Channel 5 here in Cincinnati, and Mark Hayes became one of our anchors. And I was on his page one day, and I was like, "How do you know Leah DeVon?" He was like, "Oh, she used to be on you know, I lived in Atlanta, and she used to come on." I was like, "That's my cousin." He was like, "No way." I was like, "I produced her show." Mm-hmm. That it was so hilarious. I was like, "That's so crazy," like how it goes full circle around. But I think the best thing. So the reason I was interested in working with the show is because at the time, my favorite TV show was Donnie Deutsch's Big Idea. And I just thought it was so really, I got a lot of tips from him and watching the show and other people being on the show. And when I saw how your show was put together, I really just wanted to get that information out so that people that weren't in whatever industry they wanted to be in knew how these people were actually having successful careers by doing and being independent and just being an entrepreneur. It just gave so many tips. And I felt it was a different take on a business entrepreneur show. And that's why I really was like, I wanted to help and be part of it.
Well, I'm so glad that you did.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's been years now.
I know. We've been like, you know, this is really for us like a labor of love because we love what we do. We've had a great team of people. It's not a big team, but everybody that kind of is a part of it kind of like sees the vision. And it's so interesting. And I don't know, I'm sure you and I have talked about this before, is like people who, like, when I say make it, meaning that everybody kind of knows who they are, people just assume that that just happened overnight. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I always bring Tabitha Brown. I always talk about her because like she was grinding for like 15 or 20 years, like a really long time. And like, I get very inspired by her when I listen to her story because she was just like, I told my husband 5 years. I mean, it took 15, but her purpose and what she says is like, she just didn't give up, you know, and we're growing our brand. And I'm just really excited that people like Myki, like people want to come on our show.
I know, right? No. So so I'm going to turn the interviewer into the interviewee. What's some of your favorite shows?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I really enjoyed interviewing Martin Alexander. He's the COO of FUBU because he was just so cool. Do you know what I mean? And do you remember, like, we talked to him like 30 minutes after the interview. Do you remember that? And
first off, it was like a 40-minute interview. And then, we were on the phone for a while with him.
And I remember telling him, you know, I've been following you on Instagram. And he's like, well, I've been following you. So you just never know who's watching you and what you're doing. And I think people think that, like, if your social media doesn't have a kabillion followers, that you're not important or you're not big enough or you're not relevant. But the point is, that's just so not the case. Do you know what I mean? Of people who are digging in and wanting to be a part. But he was like just giving great tips. You know what I mean? I was very inspired and, you know, listening to him and things he was saying about his brand. And he was another one that was like, this just didn't happen overnight. People see the outcome, but they don't necessarily see how long that you've like grinded.
Yes. And I think it's interesting how people, how they transition as entrepreneurs into other sectors. So, he started off as a clothing brand and then he moved into doing so many other things with FUBU TV network and different things of that nature. So it's like, that's what's enjoyable too, because people that are seasoned, what I like about the show is we have people that are just getting their, maybe not even got noticed yet, but also people that have been in their fields for a long time and very successful. So I like to see the difference between how each of them tell their entrepreneurial story. Mm-hmm. And I think the best thing was watching. So my favorite shows are some of the earlier ones. I like what we do now because we get to talk to people internationally. So I like the fact that we can do people, talk to people in the Caribbean, London, anywhere in the States. So I like that. But one of my favorite shows early on, and I'm gonna forget her name. You went to her art studio and you walked around with her.
Oh, Gay Allen.
Yes, Gay. Like literally, that's one of my favorite shows. I love the Gay Allen show. I loved her show. She was just really cool, and I just liked your interaction. And then when you went to cook at Mango's, I think that was hilarious. I just like that because you were in there trying, and I'm like, Leah knows how to cook, but you're like, oh, I got a cucumber, a zucchini, a cucumber. So it was little stuff I like the natural feel and flow of the show. And then what was my other favorite one? Oh, Jasmine Burke.
Yeah.
So those were good. And I like to hear he had the magazine because we recorded him the same day as Jasmine.
Oh, rolling out.
It was
Julian Julian Burke.
Yes, Julian.
And do you remember? And I will say this, and Myki will attest to it. Sorry, my lawn's being done out. Do you remember that I said, and I do, I have what's called a sixth sense. And I'll say, Myki, this entrepreneur, this show, or whatever this brand is, it's going to blow up. How right am I 99.9% of the time?
Yeah. I like the Control magazine because his story was unique, how he took nothing and was like, I'm doing this and I'm going for it and we'll figure it out when we get there. I like that, the vibrancy of someone being inspired to just by all means do it, no matter, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 150%.
He's right by your window.
What? Okay, so this is out. I know we're going to keep going, and so I'm going to be a little bit louder, and hopefully my lawn will be done soon. But anyway, I want to say that we often, like Myki and I, will get off of a show, and I'll say that was so therapeutic. Like I learn from the people that come on my show, and so I'm always inspired. I get so excited when we meet like independent music artists who are like Billboard chart-topping artists. Look at James Worthy. Do you remember when he first came on the show? And now he's like nominated like for Grammys, and he's done all this amazing things just in the short time. He's appeared on our show twice because we did him in person, and then when we were on COVID timeout, we did a virtual show. And I love the love that people give our show because I think they see the purpose of what we're trying to do. So don't you think so?
Mm-hmm. I think also a lot of people that are entrepreneurs never get to tell their story. And I think that it gives people an opportunity to really just remember their accomplishments and how far they come. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you forget. You're like, I'm just here. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to get this done. You forget about like, wait, I was here before, and now look where I am. And when someone like you interviews them, they're able to relive and remember some of the things that they struggle with, and they're able to impart wisdom into other people that are doing within the field. You know. What's great about the show is it's just about independent entrepreneurs in any industry. So it doesn't pigeonhole into like fashion or entertainment or music. You know, it just anybody. Like the young lady that did nails, she had her own nail line. Nail polish line. So things like that. I think that's good that you give people a platform to talk about their story.
And I will also say one more thing, that another nugget I remember Jay Martin said, and it's like you have to always realize your worth of what you're doing. Because I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to come on our show. He was like, wait, like any opportunity that an entrepreneur has to reach an audience, a good entrepreneur will take that platform. Do you remember when he said that? He said, it doesn't matter if it's 300 people or 3 million. He said, those are people that might not know I have a book out that will buy my book or might not know. So I took that also, like I said, taking notes. Okay. Very therapeutic for what he said, because that was important. And then, we have had, Miranda's Burger. Do you remember?
Yes.
His story was like so crazy because I remember during COVID.
I'm going to tell some behind the scenes real quick. Miranda's had to do the interview from his car.
Lord, yeah.
Because the kids were in the house making too much noise.
It was something.
And she was like, is he about to do the interview in his car? I was like, we're virtual, it's fine. But that's my answer to everything. It's cool. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
And it's so funny because, like, I remember his manager, like, DM'd me on social media, and I love the name Bumpy Dalton. I was like, who is Bumpy Dalton? And so the first time I'll say, I was just like, whatever. And then he came back and he was like, no, check out this, rising film producer. I'm going to make a really long story short. Just seeing his previous work was so good. And we did his interview. Like I said, we got it where we could interview him. And I told him, and Miranda and I talk about this now, I was like, your film, Grimy, is going to be huge. And beyond it was 200 million downloads, and I felt really cool because I got to see that, he was like, Leah, you were so right. Remember, they were like, we're coming in person. I was like, we're not shooting in person. He was like, we'll take tests. I love that. You know what I'm saying? Like they flew down here to come do an in-person show. And, we still support each other on social media and each other's platforms. And, and he was like, now everybody, of course, everybody wants to interview him now, but I like that he's like that person that was like, no, I want to come back and let you interview me. That was cool.
Yeah. We have great shows. Liz Lackman was one of my favorites because when she brought, I'm like, she's completely just talking to her partner,
Susan. She's on like the Food Network. Yes.
I was fangirling because I was like, oh my God, that's Susan. And then this is like, oh, she's probably in there cooking something or doing something.
She's always on Bobby Flay's show. And I just remember because I started following Liz Lackman on Instagram like a few years ago. And I remember I just personally DM'd her. And I was like, she ain't going to and that's the wrong attitude to be like, they're not going to DM me back. Because some people will, some won't. And she was like, yeah, I'll do your show. I was like, okay. And we just had the best time. And we still follow, you know what I'm saying? Comment back and forth. And
that was another long show.
I know, because I was just like very excited. So basically, we have a vision for what we want to do. I'm so grateful, like, you're riding with me. Because, like, I always joke, and I'm like, okay, Myki is just the brains behind the operation. Because she's like, okay, Leah, have you done this? Have you done that? And I'm like, well, because I feel like to grow a business, and this is really good information I get a lot when people give their tips, is you always need somebody who knows more than you do to help you grow. I mean, you can't do everything by yourself. Yeah. And you've been in TV forever. You write, you have web series, you produce other shows besides mine. But mine better be your favorite. And, but you know what I mean? You do a lot. And it's like, I told Myki last year, and I don't know did you think I was crazy when I was like, I'm taking my stuff off of everybody else's streaming platforms? Did you think I was crazy when I said that?
No, I literally have been wanting forever for us to do that. Well, because when we get distribution sites, it's not a problem, but some of the distribution sites don't kind of always have all of their things in order, and so the process behind the scenes becomes a little more belabored because you're sitting there trying to make sure you get things to them, trying to make sure we still push it out on our platforms. So having the control, because I don't know if everybody knows, I'm a control freak. So I like to have the control and the say. Like whenever we do a new deal or something, I always say they don't get they can't have full rights. Like we can't be exclusive. We right. Now, if a major network were to come knocking, then I'm like, okay, but that's a different type of distribution, and that one they will work with you to make sure that everything's together. And I know they're going to have their stuff together because I worked at a network, so I know how that runs. So I like being on distribution platforms. I love the fact that we're now in control of what we distribute, and we're also able to help other people with their shows. So I want to ask the next question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is coming up for the next season of Indie Style with Leah DeVon?
Oh my gosh. We have got so many amazing, and I say it all the time, but I really mean it, entrepreneurs in so many different genres. And I feel like we'll be able to talk to entrepreneurs that we haven't just yet. We're trying to bring different types of entrepreneurs because we really want to open the field so everybody can hopefully get something from the shows that we're doing. And we also are going to be, featuring some great music artists, again, across the globe. So we're going to start really kind of asking people who are indie artists to start sending us more videos so we can feature them. And also, we have our own streaming Roku network. And, in the coming months, Myki and I will be excited to bring more content producers on our platform. And we're just going to expand it. We're being our own entrepreneurs and just taking that leap of faith. And so that's kind of what we're doing, that we always say, we're celebrating people who, need the platform. And so we're really, really excited.
So how can they reach us? What website can they go to?
They can go to IndieStyle.com. TV.com. I mean, that's got everything. It has where you can watch the show, what time you can watch the show, our distribution platforms. And in addition to us just like streaming, we're also going to be going linear to some really great states. So stay tuned. And I appreciate you. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
And thanks for coming on, because she was just like, I am not doing it. I was like, yeah, you are. Yes, you are. She's like, I am not. I was like, yeah, you are.
I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad.
So thank you. Because I'm always saying I refer to you a lot when we do our shows. So now this is who I'm talking to.
All the time. I just show up and I click some buttons.
No, you do more than that.
And I make sure that
a two-time Emmy-nominated producer. You write, you produce, you have all kinds of goodness. And so, like I said, at the end of the day, when people, we're family, but she's very seasoned in her industry. But my point is when we can learn how to really help each other, that's the goal. That's how you grow and how you build your brand. Okay, so thank you for coming and showing your face today and doing the show, because I know you didn't want to.
I did not, but it's good to talk to you. We talk all the time, so, but I'm not normally seen. Mm-mm. I don't mind. I used to host a show, but that was in a former life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it came on at 4:30 in the morning, so nobody saw it anyway.
That was real early.
I got pushed into that too, so it's okay.
Well, I appreciate you. And thank you for everything. Love. It's going to be good. I'm grateful that I have somebody truly on my team and in my corner that wants us to win. So we are going to win.
Thank you. You too.
So thanks for coming on the show, Myki.
You're welcome. Right. Bye, everybody. See you later.
Oh, gosh. That was a win for me, because I've been trying to get her to do this like forever. And she was all like, no, I'm not doing that. I won today. Yes. But it was a great win because I wanted you to meet her. I hope that you guys will tune in this season. I hope that you've enjoyed our show to introduce our new season. And until next time, I am Leah DeVon. You be well.